What is up, everybody? How we doing? We got our picks today for UFC 321, Tom Aspinall versus Gane for the heavyweight belt. So we're going to start with that fight, start from the top and move our way down through the card. Last week's picks were pretty awful, I can't lie. But I know for a fact I'm not the only one who had awful picks last week, so I'm not too upset about it. It was a really wacky card. Starting with the main event, though, Tom Aspinall versus Gane. I am picking Tom Aspinall. I am expecting an early finish, likely within the first or second round. I think there's just levels here. I think Tom is so much faster. He's just as big, so much faster, hits just as hard as every other heavyweight. I don't think this fight would be close. I mean, maybe Gane can have a little success if he's staying on the outside in the first round, but I think Tom Aspinall will pressure him, either get a takedown or just clip him and finish him with ground strikes. But I do expect him to get this done pretty quickly. Moving on, Jandiroba versus Mackenzie. Wait, what? What'd I do? Come on now. Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. I think this is a pretty close fight. I know they have Verna as a plus 130 underdog, which I do think is a little crazy. I am picking Verna Jandiroba as underdog. I think those odds are whack, first of all. I don't think she should be an underdog. Maybe a pick 'em at the worst. I was figuring a favorite. I think she'll be more well-rounded here. I think on the feet especially, she will have a lot of success just kind of outpointing. It's women's MMA when there's really no one that's that dangerous. You just kind of have to have more volume, right? And she has that. I think this would be close. I think it'll likely go to decision, but I've got to ride with Verna Jandiroba getting it done by decision in this one. Moving on, we have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. I will be riding pretty confidently with Umar Nurmagomedov. I was a while ago questioning a pick on this one. I was even leaning towards Mario Bautista for a little bit. But under recent circumstances, especially with it being in Abu Dhabi, and I think they're going to want to make that rematch between Umar and Merab. I do think that Umar will be pulling this off. I'm very confident it will go to decision. I don't see either of them finishing each other. I know Umar has become a giant favorite, minus 625 on DraftKings. I'm pretty sure it's like minus 800, which is wild. But I do think it is relatively deserved for him to be a sizable favorite. I think he'll implement his game well, especially on the feet. His striking is quite a bit better and more active than Mario Bautista. But at least visibly wise, his kicks are very good, and I do think he can implement a well-rounded game. I think Mario will not have a ton of success taking him down and stuff. Moving on. Another one where I don't really kind of get the odds. They have Alexander Volkov as a plus 185 underdog against Jailton Almeida, and I will be picking Alexander Volkov. I think this is a bad matchup for Almeida. I mean, I think this is almost kind of a bad matchup for both of them. But I do think Volkov will be massive in there across from Almeida, who's already not a big heavyweight, almost only at 235, which is like Alex Pereira size. I think so. I think how the fights kind of go. I think Almeida will get a takedown or two. I think in the first round, maybe in the second. But I do think they will both have a little success in the feet. I think maybe in the third round, I think Alexander Volkov might catch him on some long combination and clip him and put him out in the third. I have my prediction in a round 3 knockout or decision. I could very well see decision. But I am picking Alexander Volkov in this one. He was robbed in his last one. Objectively, he was robbed in his last one against Gane. Realistically, he should be fighting for the belt, but they wanted to push that Gane against Tom Aspinall for the belt, which is fine. That should be a fun fight, but riding with Alexander Volkov as the underdog in this one. Moving down, we have Alexander Rakic versus Murzakanov. Listen, guys. Okay, so they have him at minus 105 here, but I'm pretty sure on some other odds they have him as like a plus 150 underdog. Anyways, besides the point, I'm riding with Alexander Rakic. He's massive compared to Azamat Murzakanov. I don't think people are mentioning that. He's got a whole 6 inches on his height. Crazy reach advantage. He's pretty fast. I think he will implement his game well. I think he'll win by decision. So I'm picking Alexander Rakic by decision as the underdog. I do think this will be competitive. You got to worry about the judges, of course, in Abu Dhabi for Murzakanov. But anyone with one of those beards, they'll try to edge it out to them. 1 second. Coffee. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Rakic in this one. Not a ton of confidence, but I do think he'll get it done. He had quite a bit of success against Magomed Ankalaev. The fight was close. People forget, man. But that wasn't too long. I think it was the last one, if I'm not mistaken. Was that his last fight? Yeah. Just about a year ago, almost to the day, at UFC 308. He lost a decision to Ankalaev. It was a competitive fight, though. Yeah. So Alexander Rakic will be the pick there, likely by decision. Moving on. So this is a tough one for me. See, these odds on here are completely different than I have on other sites. I think Salkilld is a small underdog. Not a pick 'em on some sites. Anyways, Nasrat Haqparast versus Quillan Salkilld. Both very good fighters. Haqparast, I think, has a more polished skill set. He's obviously had much more than double the fights as Salkilld. But I do think Salkilld is legit, and there's a chance that this might be a little bit of a jump for him too early. I think it's on short notice as well. But I do have belief in my man. I think he will implement his game plan well. I think he'll get the fight to the ground. He's got good striking. He's got power. And I think power is something you need against a guy like Nasrat Haqparast to beat him. I see Salkilld winning a 29-28 decision with one round where he drops Nasrat. Maybe he'll win the first 2 rounds, dropping Nasrat in the second, and then Nasrat edges out the third. But I think this will be a close fight. I am leaning towards Quillan. Like I said, it's very possible this is too early for him, but we'll see. We'll see. Moving down, Jung Park versus Ikram Aliskerov. So originally I picked Jung Park, and literally last minute before I made this video, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna change it back, or change it to Ikram Aliskerov. I do think Jung Park is very, very live for a win here, just as he is in every one of his fights. He's super, super underrated. I just think Ikram is good enough. I don't think Ikram's that great. I think he's very overrated. But I do think he's a little bit good enough. He's one of those guys that can get past Jung Park. Jung Park will check a lot of guys. He's very well-rounded, very, very tough. One of the toughest guys in the division. Would never do some shit that RDR did. But yeah, I'm leaning to Ikram Aliskerov. I think it might be a late fight finish or a decision, where he just has a little more active in there than Jung Park. He's landing at 7.5 clip per minute for his strikes. He's pretty active. But I think Jung Park is live for a win. I can't pick it in this one. I'm already gonna have a bullshit pick later that you'll see in a second. But yeah, we move on. We've got Ludovic Klein versus Mateusz Rebecki. Good fight here. This is, I think, good matchmaking. I do think Rebecki is pretty good. I just worry about. I mean, he's not it's not like he's insanely active, but he is very active for the amount of damage he takes in his fights. He gets this shit beat out of him in every one of his fights. I think he'll maybe have some success round 1 when he's a bit fresher. And he's very easy to make reads on. So I think once it gets to the second and third round, I think Klein will start making reads on him, start cracking him up. He's got pretty polished striking. I think, I think Ludovit Klein will probably this will be another fight where it's like a late fight finish. Maybe like a round 3 finish for Ludovit Klein, like left hook. Like Mateusz Rebecki is very predictable on his game plan once you're in there in a couple minutes. A lot of just lower level fighters have trouble getting him out of there because he is so tough and he's so relentless. But I think Ludovit Klein is to the point where he's at that level where he can get Mateusz Rebecki out of there. But it ain't easy. Mateusz Rebecki's back before Chris Duncan even, and he lost that fight pretty bad. That was only like 2 months ago. Only 2 months ago he lost to Chris Duncan. That's crazy. And he'd taken like 9 months off after the Orobai fight, and then he's back after 3 months after he lost to Chris Duncan. Which is a little bit crazy. He's been shown where he can be finished, like he was finished against Diego Ferreira, who's pretty good as well. He's got power. He's not a bad fighter, but I am leaning Ludovit Klein late fight finish in this one. Moving on, we got Abdul Karim Al Selwady. Sounds like a damn prince. Versus Mateus Camillo. I don't have his leg reach here, but he has a same reach as Selwady. Anyways, picking Abdul Karim Al Selwady in this one, though it's not with a ton of confidence. I think Mateus Camillo is very good. Excuse me. I think he's another kind of in that situation as Quillan Salkilld, where I don't think he has enough experience. He's not polished enough to properly get me to pick him to finish this fight. I think he's very live for a win, but I'm picking Abdul Karim Al Selwady in this one. I think it'll probably be a decision. 29-28, another close decision. But it's a very tough fight for me. It's a pick 'em. It really is like a 51-49 fight. There's not too much to say here. Both guys are pretty good. I think Mateus Camillo will be good in the future. I think he's a little bit green still. He shows too many holes in his game. He takes too many people to decision where he should be finishing them. But yeah, we move on. Walter Walker back after his last fight was canceled against Louis Sutherland. Pretty easy pick for me. Walter Walker seems to be one of the better, more skilled heavyweights, especially with his grappling. I think he'll probably submit Louis Sutherland probably by leg lock. I know everyone's picking him for that, but I think it's the right pick. It's just kind of a no-brainer pick. I mean, Louis Sutherland could catch him, but I just don't see it happening. I think Walker will stay safe enough. But, yeah, Walter Walker will be the pick by submission, round 1, round 2, early. Yeah, looking forward to this one. It'll be fine. Fun fight. Let me see rip a leg off, Fight I'm very much looking forward to. And Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Miguel Delgado. I am picking Jose Delgado in this one. Much bigger. He hits hard. He's very active in there, landing over a 7 strike per minute clip. I think he'll kind of overwhelm Nathaniel Wood and finish him actually pretty quick. Maybe he'll get a takedown or something in the first round and kind of like chew him up a little bit, and then second round finish. But I do see Jose Delgado finishing him within the first 2 rounds here. I think Nathaniel Wood is pretty decent. Did he win his last? No, he won his last one against Chirer. But like I said, I think he is decent. I just think Delgado has power, has the volume. He's big for the weight class. 5'11" for 145 is big. I think he'll overwhelm Nathaniel Wood and drop him and put him out. Maybe like a right hook along the fence kind of finish. But moving on, Chris Barnett versus Hamdi Abdelwahab. Hey, listen, guys. Earlier I said we're going to have a kind of a bullshit pick later. It ain't a bullshit pick. I take that back. We're picking Chris Barnett, though. We're picking Chris Barnett. I think Hamdi... Listen, it is kind of a jokey pick, but I'm just going to put it out there because I want to be right if he wins. You know what I mean? If I'm wrong and he loses, it is what it is. I lose all the time, you know? But if he wins and I'm right, I just want to have that down. And I like him a lot. You know, you should be rooting for him. If you're watching this fight and you're not rooting for him, like, what's wrong with you? Listen, I'm picking Chris Barnett to beat Hamdi Delgado in either a close decision or to knock him out. I do think it is a winnable fight for Chris Barnett. I know he's a big underdog. I don't really care. I think it is a winnable fight. Hamdi's not good, right? So Hamdi's not good. Chris Barnett is not really good either. He's old as well. But like I said, Hamdi's very hittable. He's not very good. He's got a decent chin. I think it'll probably go to decision. If Chris Barnett can stay off his back, not get taken down, I think this will be a problem for Hamdi. But we'll see. You know, he's 40 years old, has a lot of injuries. It probably won't go the way I want to. I'll be very upset, but we're picking Chris Barnett. Just saying. Just gonna put that out there. Fight I am looking forward to. Sneeze. Azat Maksum versus Mitch Raposo. Azat Maksum is very good. I'm picking him against Mitch Raposo pretty confidently, actually. You know, flyweight is my favorite division. Azat Maksum lost to Tagir Ulanbekov, who has a lot of wins over good fighters. He's not amazing, but he's a very solid fighter, and having the loss to him isn't terrible. And then his other loss is to Charles Johnson, who I think is a top 5 fighter, at least top 10, but probably top 5 fighter in the flyweight division. Has a win over the guy who's getting a title shot in December, a knockout win. And Azat Maksum dropped him in that fight. I think he's very, very good. I think he's going to beat up on Mitch Raposo. I actually do worry. Like, the UFC is supposedly trying to push Mitch Raposo, but whatever. Azat Maksum is pretty big for this weight class, actually. Very long reach, but I think he'll likely finish Mitch Raposo. I could see a decision, but I think it is live for a finish in the flyweight division here. But I'm looking forward to this fight. Like I said, flyweight is honestly my favorite division. You know, it's not my favorite division. Women's strawweight. I do not care about this fight. I will not be watching this fight. Maybe I'll just be sitting by my computer. But yeah, we're going with Jacqueline Amorim. She's very good. She's elite, truthfully. Top of the UFC level. She'll win a 29-28 decision against Mizuki. Those are my picks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Looking forward to this card. Like I said, not as much as I am to a card like UFC 322, but I will still be watching, as I am always watching. And hopefully we'll see Tom Aspinall round 1 knockout. Thank you guys. Like, comment some stuff, something, you know. And then, of course, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys. Peace.